Blaine's mustache. You
and
asked
just his whole
the whole persona.
Appearance.
He does kind of look like a pawn shop owner. So we were kicking around ideas. If you had a pawn shop, what would the name of it be? What?
This one right here?
Yeah. What? Well, if you had one, what would you call it, David?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, can we just go with just Cone's Pawn Shop? I don't know.
I'd like I Love Pawn.
Yeah.
Blaine, what would yours?
I Love Pawn's pretty good. Probably like something like, what are you willing to do for it? Probably that.
What are you willing to do for it?
What are you willing to do for it?
I want to see the person
like
that
or
wants it.
like
I got it. You want it.
That or like, I'm not paying that much, or like, get out.
Yeah. You stole that from me?
I'll give you half of what you're asking for.
Yeah, like that, or
Like,
put your hands behind your back.
you and Chum Lee look like y'all could run this.
Put your hands on your back. That's good. Wake Forest star quarterback Sam Hartman is out indefinitely. We will tell you how this impacts the ACC. Conor of Saturday Down South joins us to talk a little college football, and Shohei Ohtani joins Babe Ruth in the record books. That's some good company. Speaking of good company, welcome to Crane & Company. With the announcement that star Wake Forest quarterback Sam Hartman is going to be out indefinitely, at least that's what we've heard so far, the repercussions will be felt all around the ACC. But in my opinion, this pretty much locks up not only an Atlantic Division title for Clemson, but likely a spot in the college football playoff as well. The reasons are as follows. Every one of Clemson's toughest games in conference play are at home, except at Wake Forest. Now, I had that as their only conference loss. And now that Hartman is likely out for that game, I have to go with Clemson winning that on the road. They play Miami and NC State at home. And NC State beat them last year, so they're going to be a little upset. So I don't see them dropping a conference game, even if DJ doesn't have a super strong sophomore campaign. Remember, Klubnik's waiting in the wings. But this defense is going to be elite. And the argument could easily be made that they will have the best defense in the country this season. But offensively, most of the offensive line is back. You return two good backs that can combine for over 1,400 yards, and you have weapons on the outside and the inside. Look at Nada and a couple others. They got the Bo Collins guy, made some big plays last year as well. Now, this also has huge implications for a possible playoff appearance, seeing as if Clemson goes undefeated in conference play, they'd obviously have a great shot to win the conference championship. So even a loss at Notre Dame wouldn't keep them out. Now, it's got to be their only loss, though. I was leaning toward Oklahoma being the fourth team that sneaks in the playoff. But after Hartman's injury, Clemson is a more obvious answer because a 12-1 Clemson would get in over a 12-1 Oklahoma because the out-of-conference schedule strength would have to go to the Tigers. Now, I feel horrible for Sam and Wake, and I hope he recovers quickly and gets to play again this season. But this announcement, at least in my opinion, has streamlined Clemson's chances to have a huge year. Now, I'm going to bring in David Cohn. I'm going to bring in the Monopoly guy as well to my right, a.k.a. pawn shop owner. Look, I'm coming up with them every day. I'm bringing the heat every day.
Can I get some positive ones over
That's
here?
a good one, the Monopoly
It's
guy.
not.
I called you Tom Selleck the other day.
I called you Tom Selleck the other day.
I need more than one. Name me another one.
Goose Gossage, a good
Bob's
guy.
Burgers.
You met
Goose Gossage, good-looking guy.
You met Goose?
No, I haven't met Tom Selleck either. Would I buy a reverse
Haven't?
mortgage from him? I don't know.
Get
But
outside
Clemson. I mean, David. Speaking of
Wake.
Clemson.
Yeah.
Clemson, speaking of David. Again, you hate it for Sam Hartman. We'll see. They're kind of keeping it, close to the vest. They said he was wearing a cast, on his left arm at practice. They had a minor procedure. We'll see. And again, I hope he is back.
Yeah.
But when we were going through and making our decisions and our predictions about the ACC, Wake was one of those teams toward the top that we were looking at, especially in that Atlantic Division, that's going to be pretty tough. A lot of people are expecting a lot out of NC State, including yourself. I had Clemson winning it. I had Clemson going 8-1 in conference play with their only loss at Wake. But now with the Mitch Griffiths kid, who's thrown is 10 more passes than I have, and he was the last quarterback outside of Sam Hartman to throw a touchdown pass for Wake Forest, I don't see them being able to move the ball against this defense. To me, this, and I didn't say it locks it up completely, but it really, really moves the needle in my thinking process that Clemson is going to go undefeated in conference play. You beat who I haven't played, Miami in the conference championship game, you're making the playoff even if you lose to Notre Dame.
Well, we've been saying that the ACC has some of the best collection of quarterbacks in the country.
Agreed.
Sam Hartman was a big part of that, and I hate that for this kid. He has NFL talent, and I hope that he's able to fulfill that dream one day. But we've been talking about it in tiers, and when we say that the ACC has the best collection of quarterback play, we've never really put Clemson's quarterbacks on that list, right? That was one of their weakest parts last season. So in terms of that top tier in the Coastal, Clemson, Wake, and NC State, remember back last week when we were doing this, I still had NC State winning the Coastal, beating Clemson at home, snapping that 34-game win streak, and Clemson beating Wake on the road. So I doubly stand by that now. Could Clemson run the table, be undefeated, even beat Notre Dame, maybe at Notre Dame, and find a way into the college football playoff? Of course, because they've done it before. They have the track record. I expect their quarterback play to improve this season. But still, improve how much? And you're replacing both coordinators, too. And you still have to go on the road to Notre Dame. I know that's not a conference game, but still. And you're going to have an ACC championship. So I'm not ready to just hand this conference to Clemson just yet. I think NC State can make a run at it. And let's just see. You're really big on Miami on the other side of the division. Mm-hmm. They do play Miami at home, and they're going to have, like I said, a conference championship game. So let's see what happens there.
Yeah, and the NC State at Clemson game, Blaine, is fascinating for me. I want to hear what the Booster Club says about this, too. How does this affect change in their mind? But if NC State beat Clemson last year, and I think if that didn't happen, there'd be a lot better chance of NC State going in there and beating Clemson. I just don't see a way in hell, especially because, look when Clemson plays Notre Dame, look when they play Wake, look when they play NC State. I think Clemson will be undefeated when NC State comes to town, which they'll have that win streak at home extended if that happens. I just don't see a way in which Clemson is not absolutely locked in. And I will say, and a lot of people, and I'm going to ask Conor about this as well, Clemson's defense has a chance to be the best one in the country this year. So to me, DJ, you and them, and if Klubnik comes in, if he eventually overtakes him because DJ, doesn't play well or looks like he did last year and the timing's off and stuff like that, I don't think they have to be even really good on offense. I just think they have to be good enough. But if you look at Nada, you look at Bo Collins, you look at some of the guys on the outside, you return Shipley, guys that know how to play and know how to score. Again, Blaine, I'm looking around the conference, and now that Wake's, I guess, kind of out of the picture, I just don't see how Clemson.
Yeah, I think this is Clemson's conference. Look at it, you go back, they're 10-3 last year, and who they lose to. One of those losses were the national champions, Georgia Bulldogs. They went 10-3 as anemic and as bad as that offense was. And it was bad. Let's not sit here and sugarcoat it.
It was really bad.
It was bad. I haven't seen that offense be that bad in a long time. And hell, still won 10 games and lost one to the national championship. And who knows, DJ might not be the starter for this football team. Kay Klubnik, I'm hearing a lot of good things about this kid. And if they can come in and be mediocre, they'll win this conference. I go back to the NC State team. Great quarterback. Devin Leary's great. Defense is going to be good. But up front on the offensive line for NC State is going to be the difference when they play Clemson. The Clemson D-line is as good as we've seen in a long time. And NC State lost what? One of their best players, which was an offensive lineman who was a tackle.
Pick,
yeah, it was a top 5 pick to the NFL. And the NC State's going to be a very good football team. But where does it all come down to, right? When you play really good teams, it comes down to where up front. And the way Clemson looks up front and the way NC State looks up front on offense, that'll be the difference. You can worry about Miami in the championship game, but other team other than that, if Clemson have a respectable offense and run the ball a lot better, in my opinion, if they can really associate the run to the pass and be balanced, they might slip up a game, but definitely in the playoffs.
Well, too, and you look at Wake, and again, it's not like Wake doesn't have weapons. You got A.T. Perry, who had 1,300 yards receiving last year, had 15 touchdowns. You got Ellison and Turner at running back, two guys you feel like you can depend on. But Sam Hartman is so cerebral, and Sam Hartman is such a dangerous threat vertically in the intermediate pass game and in the short passing game. You put a guy in there with not a ton of experience, that's great to have nice Lambos and stuff on the outside, but if you can't get the guy to put the key in the ignition or hit the push to start, it's not going to work.
Well, undoubtedly, Clemson still has great players on defense. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that losing Brent Venables is significant. So I don't just want to just go ahead and say, well, Clemson will definitely have the number one defense in the country after losing a coach of his caliber.
No, and again, I don't think that's a stretch, but kind of seeing the way that Clemson and that roster parlays into the ACC and what we're seeing up front, with the returning guys on the offensive line. Because don't forget, I mean, Putnam is a really good player. They've got an NFL tackle. They return a couple guys that we know they can play. We know the way that Clemson's recruited. I know the offensive line has kind of been a little bit of a bugaboo, but one way to take a lot of pressure off a quarterback, especially one that has struggled, or one that is brand new, because I think DJ will end up being the starter early. And Cade, I don't think they want to throw him in the fire week 1. I don't think they want to do that. I think if DJ doesn't do what he's supposed to do, they'll have a quick trigger. They'll have a quick hook on DJU. And I want to ask Conor about that.
They did that with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. Booster Club real quick, Blaine.
Okay, Josie, what's a less bold prediction you can make than Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, and Bama being the 4 teams that make the college football playoff?
Yeah, I'd love to sit up here and tell you a cool story. I'd love to tell you about Hansel and Gretel and Little Red Riding Hood and Humpty Dumpty when he fell down and they put him back together. But guess what? The big bad wolf blows the house down. All right, that's how this works. It looks like, and again, I'm not going to sit here and make something up to get clicks or look stupid. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. Just like I said, Georgia last year. Just like I said, Baylor to win the championship in basketball a couple years ago. Just like I said, Gonzaga wouldn't make it to the Elite Eight. Again, I'm just going to tell you what I think. So to me right now, it's looking like Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State. And I'm sorry, it kind of is what it is. And I think you're going to have Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama,
Clemson. Outside of that, who would it be?
Oklahoma.
Okay, David?
I like the Oklahoma pick. Actually, at this point, Utah.
I'd say Oregon.
Okay.
You'd say Oregon. I tell you what, and we're going to talk about this later. We could have a situation where a team kind of starting to remind me of Cincinnati a little bit. Last year, when you look at their schedule and what they returned, Fresno State, they were to go undefeated. They're outside the top 25 right now. I think they're receiving like 21 votes. I know Cincinnati started at preseason number 10 last year, I believe. But you look at that Fresno State schedule.
USC?
You got USC. You got San Diego State. You've got, we need to look it up. We were looking at it early. I know you start with Cal Poly. But it's kind of interesting with Jake Haener, the guys they return on offense. I know DeBoer went to Washington, who I'm high on this year.
Especially if Southern Cal's good.
That's the thing.
Southern Cal and Southern Cal ends up having a great first season under Lincoln Riley, that'll be more
Cincinnati went and beat Notre Dame last year. I'm telling you, we're going to go through it at some point.
USC struggles.
I wonder what the odds on that are. Fresno State in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's probably pretty high, I would guess. But I want to bring in our good buddy, Conor O'Gara from Saturday Down South. Got to see him at SEC Media Days. Big C, what's up, my friend?
Gentlemen, doing well. All this playoff discussion has me fired up, ready to go. Didn't think that we would have, 8-9 minutes of Wake Forest discussion, but you know what? Credit to Dave Clawson for being relevant and having a quarterback that's worthy of that type of discussion.
That's exactly right. And again, having a up-and-coming Wake in the ACC, it's been interesting to watch. You kind of look at the ACC coming up a little bit. Miami's going to be interesting as well. But, it's just the ripple effect. You take a player like a Sam Hartman off a Wake Forest, and it, for lack of a better term, it does help the teams around in the conference. I don't know a better way to say it. You hate to see it. I hope he'll be back. But when you look at Clemson this year, Conor, I want to start there. And you look at them coming off a year where they, won 10 games, including the bowl game. People were saying it's a down year. Some said the dynasty is dead. I'm looking at that schedule now, man. It kind of seems like a little bit of a revenge tour for me.
I'll agree to disagree on that. And the more I thought about Clemson, the more I got frustrated because Dabo Swinney refuses to acknowledge the transfer portal. Well-documented issue.
The kayak denier.
I mean, if there was ever an instance in which Dabo Swinney should have been going to the portal, it was this offseason. So you have all these teams that are getting better, that are addressing specific needs. Alabama loses Jamison Williams. What do? They go out and they get Tyler Harrell, this deep threat from Louisville. What do you do when you lose a stud running back and you don't feel great about your returning backs? You go out and you get a Jahmyr Gibbs from Georgia Tech. So I look at Clemson's situation and I say, all right, DJ Uiagalelei, crush the pronunciation, I know. He's back after he didn't finish in the top 100 in quarterback rating. I have no faith that he's going to turn it around. I don't have a whole lot of faith in this passing game, and I think that Cade Klubnik is ultimately going to be the starter for Clemson, but I'm looking at the ACC going, man, I don't really know that a 12-1 Clemson gets into the college football playoff. I'm more of the belief that the Big 12 is going to be the better conference this year, and a 12-1 Oklahoma team is going to have a better case. And we'll wait and see kind of the way that things play out. But even though Clemson defensively, you're exactly right. They should be. That defensive line is nasty. I mean, with Miles Murphy, Brian Brzee, and then if Xavier Thomas can stay on the field, you really like their chances of being good, even in a post Brent Venables world. But they were number 2 in the country last year. And they still struggle the way that they did. So I just have more questions than answers about Clemson right now.
Yeah, and again, Cody, if you can, pull up Oklahoma's schedule real quick.
Oklahoma?
Let's look at the out-of-conference games that Oklahoma plays to Clemson, because I think that's where the difference is. Because I look at Notre Dame, and I see Notre Dame has a really tough schedule as well. And I bring in Notre Dame because they play Clemson, they play Ohio State, they play USC, they play Navy, which I just would never schedule Navy as a coach ever. Anybody that runs a triple option, I'm not doing it. But I feel like there's going to be a logjam a little bit in the Big 12. I'm not as sold on Texas as other people are. So I think if Oklahoma does go 12-1 and they lose at an Iowa State, you know how weird Ames is. I think if Clemson loses at Notre Dame, with the out-of-conference game against South Carolina, which is an SEC team, going to be interesting to see how they do. I think with Clemson's cachet and I think that schedule, I don't know how far apart the Big 12 and the ACC really is when you get down to brass tacks. We'll see how Baylor does with another year under Aranda. I know what they've lost. Oklahoma State, they're not sneaking up on anybody like they did last year. I love Spencer Sanders. Mike Gundy, total philosophical change. I don't know if the Big 12 and the ACC is that far apart. But I do want to stay in the Big 12, Conor. It's a great segue. You know, you'd think you do this for a living. But let's talk about Texas. Do you give them any shot against Alabama? Because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I don't. I don't give them a shot in hell of beating Alabama. I think Quinn Ewers is going to be nice, but, you know, my next-door neighbor's nice, but that doesn't mean they're beating Alabama.
I'll say it in Spanish for you. No.
Yes.
I don't. I just don't. Look, and I think Texas is actually going to be able to put up some points. I do. In that game, that's going to be scorching hot, and you're going to have Alabama defenders who are going to be cramping up, and it's going to be rough for just being able to kind of stay on the field in an early season game that's played that early in the day. I'm high on Quinn Ewers, too. Quinn Ewers is my Heisman pick. I think that he's going to have a monster year. I really do. And I think he can
value play or true pick? Value play or true pick?
They're the same thing. Friends don't let friends bet on preseason Heisman favorites.
That's exactly right, especially running back.
I'm trying to get it trademarked because there's only been one preseason top 2 guy in the Heisman odds who's won the award in the last 13 years, and it was Marcus Mariota, 2014. So it's just one of those things that I look at and I'm like, it's a narrative-driven award. I would pick Quinn Ewers to follow that path instead of a Bryce Young, instead of a CJ Stroud. So I look at that Week 2 game and I think, well, could it be reminiscent of 2020 Alabama Ole Miss, right? A game where you feel like the last team on the field is just going to be the team that's left standing. And I'm not saying that it's going to be maybe that ugly, but I think a lot of points will be scored because I don't have much faith that Texas's defense is going to slow down Alabama. But I still think Alabama is going to win that game by multiple scores against a Texas team that has really struggled against that elite competition. I don't think they've beat a top 4 team in the post Vince Young era, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think that's going to happen Week 2.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Did you want anything from Oklahoma's schedule?
Yeah, just real quick. Can you just read the out-of-conference games?
UTEP. You just want me to read it off?
Yeah, just the out-of-conference games.
UTEP, Kent State, at Nebraska, Kansas State, at TCU, and then you got Texas, Kansas, at Iowa State, Baylor, at West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
That's the whole. That's
you better hope Nebraska figures it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's
Clemson's got Notre Dame out of conference as well.
Notre Dame, and that's on the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting there. Look, we're not even a week into fall camp here. Y'all were talking about Alabama. We're not even a week into fall camp, and everyone's sort of locked up these 2 playoff spots for Georgia and Alabama. I'm looking around the rest of the country. Utah is interesting. We were talking about them. Jake has Florida beating Utah, but then them going undefeated in conference. I have the inverse. I have Utah beating Florida, but probably losing a game somewhere in there. You know, I'm a Michigan Wolverine. I'm never just going to hand the Big Ten over to the Buckeyes before the season even starts. And then all of us have Clemson losing at least one game. I mean, what are the chances here that the SEC doesn't get 2 teams in the playoff?
I don't have 2 SEC teams in the playoff, in part because I have Georgia losing in the regular season to Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Have that one on the schedule. I know it's been a long time. Tennessee hasn't beat a top 5 team in 17 years. I know all the stats. Trust me. I've heard about it every which way possible. So I have Georgia losing to Alabama in the SEC championship. I know a real bold prediction there.
Okay. So that's 2 losses for Georgia you have, right?
Yeah. So because I have Alabama in the playoff, I have Ohio State in the playoff, being able to get some redemption this year. I have Ohio State winning a national championship, so I'll just kind of spoil that one for you as well. And beating Alabama in the national championship. And then I have Oklahoma and I have Utah. I'm a Cam Rising believer. I would have loved to have seen the way that the Rose Bowl played out if he could have stayed healthy for those final 10 minutes of that game. And I think that kind of overshadowed just how good Utah was last year, how good I think they're going to be this year. I love Tavian Thomas coming back. I just think that Kyle Whittingham has a very rock solid team this year. And I can't wait for that game when they play against USC and everybody's talking about Caleb Williams, despite the fact that he's averaged 6.4 yards per attempt against top 70 defenses. You can file that one away. But I look forward to that game, and College Game Day is going to be in the house, and it's this coming out party for Utah. And Cam Rising just shows that he's a better player than Caleb Williams right now at this point of his career. So I'm high on the Utes. I'm high on Ohio State being able to get it done. And I have Ohio State winning the national championship in part because in the last 17 years, only one preseason number one has won a national championship.
That's a good stat.
2017 Alabama.
Okay. Yeah. I like that you're so big on Utah because we've been talking about them a lot as well, even though I will say one thing. In that Rose Bowl game, which was a game for the ages, that backup quarterback for Utah still came in and led a touchdown drive, which was fantastic. I loved it for that kid because at least Utah can say, look, the backup guy came in and did his job.
In a big moment.
So you have Oklahoma in the playoff, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Oklahoma in like a revenge Brent Venables. I'm going to Oklahoma. I'm going to show you that I'm better than Lincoln Riley type season.
Okay, so let's stay there for 1 second. Then, how does Texas and Oklahoma State and Baylor fit into this situation? What kind of season do you think they'll have?
I think Baylor has like a 2-loss type season. I have them as my preseason number 5. I want to say. Really, really high on the Bears after they had a historic season. And I think they deserve to start off as, in my opinion, they deserve to start off as the favorite in the Big 12. But I think by season's end, there will be Oklahoma will be the team that ultimately wins the conference, just because it's going to take a little bit of time to gel. But then the more I think about this Oklahoma situation, I'm just like, wait a minute, they got Brent Venables on defense and they got Jeff Lebby with Dylan Gabriel on offense.
Yeah.
Yep. Like, how is that not going to work out? So I just kind of look at that. I think they got the juice, the revenge season in the works for them. And then, but I think Baylor is just going to be really, really solid. Would not surprise me at all if they went to a New Year's Six Bowl. I love what they return in the trenches, man. You were talking about that before and how that's going to impact NC State Clemson. I think Baylor up front is going to really surprise some people. I think they surprised some people in that Sugar Bowl against Ole Miss, albeit without Matt Corral. But I just think that the Big 12 this year is going to be really solid. And Oklahoma State, my biggest question is, what does it look like post Jim Knowles after he went to Ohio State?
Okay. Yeah, I like Oklahoma State, but like we just read the schedule, they're going to have to go to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm with you on Oklahoma. Like I said, I had Oklahoma go in the playoff before Hartman got hurt because that game losing to Wake on Clemson's schedule, that was one of the ones, if they lost to Notre Dame, that gives you 2 losses. That, to me, is what would have kept them out if Oklahoma just had that one loss. I think Oklahoma loses at Iowa State because I know how it is at Iowa State. It's a weird place to play. And Oklahoma, you're coming off basically a bye week before.
Kansas.
Yeah.
And Baylor.
Well, Kansas
and Baylor the next week.
Kansas is French for bye.
Is that what?
Texas.
And then, you would have Baylor the next week after going to Iowa State.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
And Brent Venables.
It's a trap!
Brent Venables' revenge story. Love it. All right, I got a couple of questions here. First, I'm starting. There's a lot of QB battles in today's age in college football. I'm going to start with Cones, truly, the Michigan Wolverines. Who do you think is going to come out on top for Michigan? Do you think it's going to be Cade McNamara or J.J. McCarthy?
I think McNamara starts the season and McCarthy takes over. That's my guess. And I don't know that it takes a loss for that to happen, but I think they're gonna go to a guy that has the more potential. And I think it's a little bit different when you see it play out against a big boy like Georgia. And you see kind of your limitations. You felt so good about that Joe Moore winning offensive line, and they troll with the t-shirts, not to bring up old memories for you, bad memories for you, but a game in which you kind of realize, okay, this is what it looks like when we're stacked up against an all-world type defense. So I think that they'll turn to McCarthy a little bit later in the year. I don't know when specifically. I haven't pinpointed when that's going to happen, but I think McNamara starts off as the guy, and then Harbaugh ultimately, kind of goes into the unknown of J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, they stared into Sauron's eyes on that one.
I think I could see that happening.
All right, question here from the Booster Club. Travis Elrod, #AskCraneCompany. Does a one-loss Baylor team make the college football playoff if they win the Big 12?
Yeah. Because I think a one-loss Big 12 champ would have that path, just because I think the top of the Big 12 is going to be better than the top of the ACC in terms of those quality victories that they can get. So a one-loss Baylor team after the year that they just had, that's so important. And it was so important with Cincinnati last year.
Where they started,
where they started. That's really big. If you're a program that hasn't been there before, you have to be that team that kind of starts off and has everybody on notice from the jump, which Baylor should. If you're still sleeping on Baylor and what Dave Aranda's doing, quickly moving into that category very quickly of top 10 coaches in college football, I think that you'd be mistaken. So I think a one-loss Baylor team absolutely would have that path. Obviously have to hope that Oklahoma is a team that, maybe you avenged a regular season loss against them in the Big 12 championship or something like that. But I believe that path is there.
Yeah. All right, Daniel the Camel from the Booster Club, hashtag Ask Crane and Go. Who do you think this year will be the most overrated quarterback?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Man.
Should I just stick with my Caleb Williams thing?
Yeah, listen. Hey, ride the horse while it's hot, brother.
Look, that if you want to truly break down those numbers against top 70 defenses versus non-top 70 defenses, it's stunning. I mean, didn't complete 60% of his passes in one of those 3 games against a top 70 defense. It's night and day. Just in terms of sacks that he took, you talk about how he looked against that Baylor team. Everybody's criticizing Spencer Rattler and everybody's saying that, oh, he's done. He got benched for Caleb Williams. And people kind of forget they actually went back to Spencer Rattler in that Baylor game. And when Caleb Williams was struggling, I think that he's going to have some issues, despite the fact that obviously you love the weapons that they added. I mean, to go out and get a Jordan Addison, get a Biletnikoff Award winner, and then just throw him into your offense, no big deal. He's going to have a good year. I'm just not necessarily a believer that he's like the number 2 quarterback in the country coming into this year. When I just watched CJ Stroud do what he did, I would take probably even Hendon Hooker over Caleb Williams right now after seeing what he did against SEC competition, against quality defense as well. That's the important caveat. So I'm just a little bit more in wait and see mode with Caleb Williams.
Mine's Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA. I'm not sold on that kid. Everybody keeps gassing him up. He struggles to throw the ball, man. I know he turned it on at the end of last year, got some postseason awards, but I am not sold on this dude bringing UCLA to the promised land. They're going 6-3 in the Pac-12. We got anything else from the comment in there?
We already got a dark horse. Let me see here.
Use the mustache.
Okay, yeah, we got another question from Daniel. He said, hashtag Ask Crane and Co. Speaking of Ohio State, would Urban Meyer coach college football again? And if so, where?
No, he's done. Stick a fork in him. I don't think that's happening.
Look, I don't either.
No, he's great. Like when you watch him in the booth or in studio, those settings, like you realize why the guy won 3 national championships in the 21st century. He knows what he's talking about. I think that chapter of his life is truly over. I was saying that when he left Ohio State, and everybody's speculating about USC and Notre Dame. Would he ever go back to that? I think we've seen this play out where he's realized he's at a point in his life where he's like, what do I really need to do? What would I do to tarnish my legacy even more if I have to go out and disgrace yet another Power 5 program? I just don't think that's the path for him.
I thought that it was possible Urban Meyer returned, but you just mentioned the biggest thing. The schools he most wanted to coach at, Notre Dame, Southern Cal, both just got new coaches who I think are going to work out. And Miami just got a brand new coach who I think is going to work out. The programs may not be there for when he's ready to come back.
Yeah, he's not going to FCS East.
Well, that's for sure not.
2014. But Conor, really appreciate you, man. Tell everybody where they can find your work. You guys do a great job.
Yeah, appreciate that. SaturdayDownSouth.com. We're doing top 25 week. It's ranking season. We've got all these different rankings going up. Matt Hayes, Matt Hinton doing great work for us as well. All of our staff has really gone all in with top 25 weeks. We're doing top 25 coordinators, top 25 teams, quarterbacks, the whole deal. We have top 100 players in college football that's going to be coming out later in the week. So yeah, SaturdayDownSouth.com. Follow us on Twitter at SatDownSouth, and I'm on Twitter at CJ O'Gara.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Yeah. Blaine, got a couple minutes. Booster Club, what's happening?
Okay, Stephen Miller, who wins 9 games this year? Oregon or UCLA?
Oregon, for sure.
All right, Travis Elrod, hashtag Ask Crane and Co. Do you feel like the Heisman is wrongly skewed towards skill positions and playoff teams?
It's wrongly skewed toward the offensive players. I'll give you that one. I've said it. You got guys like Mad Dog, who's a voter, who shouldn't be a voter. Take this guy's voting privileges away. He said he'd never vote for a defensive guy, which tells me you don't know. You don't know, Scott. You don't.
All right, Travis Elrod, hashtag Ask Crane and Company. Who has a better next 5 years, Oklahoma or USC?
Think about how many seasons before they would join the SEC.
Give me USC. You're in the Pac-12.
Yeah, give me USC.
I'll say Oklahoma.
You'll say Oklahoma? Going to the SEC?
Yeah.
Look.
Kyle Kennedy.
Well, if they make the playoff this year, that's technically next 5 years.
That'd be a good start.
Yeah, that'd be a good start.
Kyle Kennedy was saying, yeah. Who's a dark horse Heisman contender for each of us?
Go ahead, Blaine.
I mean, it's focused on having fun. Give me Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
Go Bo Nix. Who you got, Cone?
What's dark horses? Bijan Robinson? What's
No.
He's not dark horse.
I'd say he's one of the starting.
I'd say he's like one of the top odds.
Yeah.
To me, it was just if it's not playing quarterback, like I figured I could sneak one in there.
Give me Tyler Van Dyke from Miami.
Tyler Van Dyke.
25 touchdowns, 6
Not a bad pick.
interceptions
All right,
last
you know
year.
what, man? I'll see his ACC quarterback, and I'll go Devin Leary.
Okay. I like this. A lot of ACC flavor lately. It's an interesting, delicious
Or maybe
flavor.
Cam Rising.
Well, Cam, I mean, I think, again, they go down and beat Florida and then roll through the Pac-12 like I think they're going to. He's going to have a shot. Again, teams that have more success, you have to give yourself a chance. And you say skewed toward teams that have success. Yeah, it works out that way because that's how you have your Heisman moment. Like, you don't have your Heisman moment against Cal Poly or Alcorn State.
Mm-hmm.
You have it typically later in the year in a big game where you had to make a play. We can go through all of them. You have to give yourself a chance to have that opportunity. But speaking about opportunities, if you want the opportunity to watch the rest of the show, remember, we're going to keep the audio here as well. Head over to Daily Wire Plus. It's Daily Wire Plus, and become a member or listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and share it with all your friends and even your enemies. Got some more great stuff, including Get Off My Lawn with David Cone when we get back. All right, everybody, thanks for checking back in. Now, every Wednesday around this time, our 6'7" monster of a friend over here, former quarterback at Michigan, David Cone, uses his true 70-year-old self, the curmudgeon that he is, to tell somebody to get off his lawn. Cone, who the hell's getting off your lawn this week and why?
Today, I am telling Jalen Rose to get off my lawn.
Get out!
Last week, former NBA and Michigan basketball player Jalen Rose said we all must stop using the term Mount Rushmore to describe greatness because Mount Rushmore sits on stolen land and thus is offensive. 10 years ago, I would have rolled my eyes at this and saved my breath because back then lunacy was kept on the fringes. But now anti-American sentiment is more mainstream than Beyonce. So I must mock this, as we all should. Listening to someone who built his entire brand on being a trash talker, whining about being offended, makes me really believe we are living in the Matrix. But since those who are easily offended often get what they want, I'd like to give it a try. The term Fab Five must go. I find it deeply offensive, and we can no longer describe that great Michigan basketball team by this privileged and hierarchical phrase. First off, fab is a 3-letter F word, and those are always problematic.
Fine.
Moreover, it is derived from the Latin term fabula, which is troublesome since this term has been appropriated from indigenous Italians. Secondly, 5 is a prime number, which is exclusionary, and it marginalizes numbers of non-divisibility. See, anyone can be offended by something. It doesn't make you virtuous. And it's hard for me to hear Jalen Rose talk about America being on stolen land when he has real estate spread out all over the country. LA home, Vegas home. You have an $8.5 million mansion on Orchard Lake, man. Did you steal that? When Mike Tyson bought your Vegas mansion, did he steal that or did he exchange you millions of dollars for it? Why is it that people who have benefited most from the American dream want to ruin it for the rest of us? Those presidents on Mount Rushmore helped create a nation in which Jalen Rose could become a multimillionaire and live in a castle. Jalen, you never once cared when people found your on-court behavior offensive, so I think we'll give you the same consideration. And always remember, if America is just too objectionable for you, you're welcome to go keep Brittany Griner company. And on your way, stay off the lawn I paid for.
Well done, Cone. I'll take it a step further, Cone.
Go ahead. Take it a step
You know
further.
what? Basketball was made in America.
Yes.
And apparently, America's stolen. So basketball is offensive. We can no longer play basketball. ESPN was a company that was started in Bristol, Connecticut off stolen land. Therefore, ESPN can be no more. So Jalen Rose, here's how it works. No more basketball, no more ESPN. Let's all be offended. This is an absolute joke. And again, it's so hypocritical, man. It's so easy to make fun of these people.
I know.
It's so easy. But it's not even really low-hanging fruit. You know, it's the truth. It's stupidity. Like at this point, like, man, you're complaining about Mount Rushmore?
I know.
Like, what's next?
Well, like I said, 10 years ago, we could have just rolled our eyes at this because it's not, because we're not needed. We wouldn't have been needed then to like make fun of this, right? It would have been on the fringe. But now this is the mainstream thinking.
Do you think they do these things like Jalen Rose, like it's really not basketball season, so he's just trying to stay relevant, like by saying stuff like this?
I think it's just, look, I can virtue signal to how great of a, how good and moral of a person I am by saying that we should get rid of the term Mount Rushmore.
It's just, how dumb is that?
Don't argue with idiots.
Like, I mean, Just really think about that for a minute. Like, you're right, man. Mount Rushmore, super duper fit. I've never met anybody who has ever been like, Mount Rushmore? Wait, guys. Like, it just, again, it makes no sense.
But if I ever hear him say the term Fab Five again, after I've told him that it offends me, man, we're going to
you're going to tag him in this on social media. He needs to know that you're offended, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
I'm offended. Blaine's offended.
I'm offended, man.
Yeah, I'm super duper offended now that I think about
indigenous Italians and appropriation.
What does the Booster Club think? Are they offended?
They're offended. I mean, one, that, and two, like, he's legitimately 6'7", guys.
Yeah, the Cone's legit 6'7".
6'7".
Do they not believe he's 6'7"?
Well, a lot of 6'7" question marks. No, he's legitimately 6'7", guys. Like, I'm not lying to you.
I mean, I see it with my own two eyes right here. I mean, he could dunk a basketball without moving. He just lifts his arm up.
And not just that one.
That's definitely a 10-foot goal. All right, you want to get a little rapid fire?
Oh, let's do it, man. Look, we got to talk about Shohei Ohtani joining Babe Ruth in the record books. The only two players with 10 home runs and 10 wins pitching in the same season.
Like, he's an alien, man. Like, this is something, look, we've seen guys kind of play both ways before, attempt to do it. Or guys that were pitchers that could hit pretty good, which kind of made them stand out. They'd come in and pinch hit every now and then. The dude's elite at both. Anytime you tie Babe Ruth in anything for baseball, I don't care if it's hot dogs eaten in between the third and fourth inning. It's impressive. So the fact that you tied him in pitching, and what's next? Who do you got to tie next? He's a unicorn. Shohei Ohtani is truly a unicorn. We hear that term in basketball a lot. Oh, this guy's a unicorn, that guy's a unicorn. That's a unicorn right there. It's a unicorn with wings. With wings and a horn, and you're seeing it.
I've said this on the show multiple times. He's going to end up being the best baseball player
ever.
I think so, really?
Man, I don't, look, how many guys we ever seen do this? I mean, Babe Ruth, again, back, in 1920s, back when they were throwing a ball that was made of, like, pig skin.
They're like a slider. What's that?
It's like a slider's a little mini hamburger that served down at
there, and they burned him at the stake.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to say about Babe Ruth? He was trash?
Wait.
I'm not saying he's trash, but baseball back then is not even close.
Did you just say somebody threw a sinker and they burned him at the stake and thought they were a witch?
Yeah, they tied cinder blocks to his feet and threw him in the ocean to see if he could get out.
I think you're underestimating baseball back in the
That's pretty good.
I am.
That's pretty good. I'm gonna give it to you.
I think if they saw Thor throw a baseball, like, they wouldn't know what to do. Like, they wouldn't. It's like the first time.
So they'd have to have like a meeting at like the White House, and they have to get together for NATO. Like, did you watch this? Like, you imagine just Jacob Degrom like going back in the 1920s, just with the full arsenal. They wouldn't foul it off. Like, you think I'm kidding? Everybody's like, oh no, well, he's out there pumping 101 with his slider is way faster than anything they're seeing. Anybody that pitches like that, and look, I know Sandy Koufax is good, all right? I'm not saying Sandy Koufax wasn't good. But how many guys you see today that are like doing these crazy windups with a mustache that looks like Blaine and just absolutely gassing you up at 83?
Jacob DeGrom's, like, the ball gets faster as it comes to the plate. Like, it goes fast.
It increases in speed.
So you don't think
it's like one of those things, like, you ever walked into a test, like, you have a multiple choice, like, it's one of those things at the plate. Like, you just got to guess C every time you play against him.
That's it.
You just got to guess a pitch. That's it. There's no way. There's no way you are literally, knowing what's coming out of his hand and hitting it. Oh, it's fastball. Well, I'm already sitting in the dugout.
Yeah, well, I'm already.
So let me ask you this. Could Babe Ruth have gotten a hit off of Jacob DeGrom?
No.
How many at-bats?
Yeah, how many at-bats?
Throughout throughout a series, a 4-game series,
No.
could he have gotten a hit
No.
off Jacob Degrom?
No.
Or any, put out the 4 best starters.
No, off Jacob Degrom? No. Babe Ruth's not hitting
Not
off
touching.
Jacob Degrom.
Not touch it. He might not even foul one off.
Babe Ruth's getting a hit, man.
You're
tripping.
Listen, again,
You can't be that
Yeah, I
legendary.
can.
You know
I'll tell you,
what?
all of this, like the whole charade of sports will just come falling
In
down.
the comments,
If
tell
the
us in
greatness
a,
of Babe
in a,
Ruth can't-
in
Sorry,
a
not sorry.
3-game series, Babe Ruth let's say he gets just to play, say 3 at-bats every game, okay? So we'll say 4-game series. 3 at-bats every game, that's 12 at-bats. He's going 0 for 12. And probably with 9 Ks. And guess what? If Babe Ruth pitched to Degrom,
Yeah.
Degrom probably hit one over the train tracks off of him. It's a
Man.
different game. It's not Babe Ruth's fault. It's not. He was out there eating hot dogs in the dugout,
He
man.
was doing
Look at the guys today. Do you see what comes out of the bullpen for the Mets? The closer Diaz? It looks like they put him together in a laboratory.
I did
Like
Every time
Tony
they-
Stark put him together.
Like every time like the Yankees go in the dugout, you just hear Jurassic Park noise.
Like, what if that guy's run out and
You're on
starts
fire today,
playing
dude.
and Babe Ruth's like looking around?
Yeah, can you imagine Babe Ruth looking at Aaron Judge?
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm gonna go back to the steel mill. No, I'm not doing
That's
this.
exactly right, dude. Send me
not
the coal
doing
mines.
this.
What else we got?
Next one. Roger Goodell is
Yeah.
really doubling down on a full season suspension for Deshaun Watson.
different
I'm surprised.
before.
Yeah, why you talk different you did before, but I know what they're doing.
Is it
Here's
just
what they're
PR?
doing. Yes, it's always about PR. Here's the play. All right, they're very reactionary in the NFL, right? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I'm just gonna put the dots together for everybody. So Sue Robinson comes out and says, all right, 6-game suspension, but it's the most egregious thing the NFL has ever reviewed. It's bad. It's you broke the conduct policy and all this stuff. But everybody, once they get 6 games, they're like, that's not enough. So what does the NFL do? The NFL says we're coming out and thinking about, Adam Schefter reports, an indefinite suspension for Deshaun Watson. So what the NFL is going to do is meet somewhere in the middle. So they're going to probably give him a year. Like I've been saying, probably give him a year. Because if you give him a year, all the people that are like, that 6-game suspension isn't long enough, are going to be like, you know what? That's long enough. And all the people that are like, that indefinite suspension is ridiculous. He should not never be allowed to play again. They'll be fine. They're meeting somewhere in the middle. They're trying to appease all sides. And this is how you do it. You go from one extreme to the other and then bring it back in the middle. It's the play.
Then what is the point of an independent judiciary
not
process?
one.
I
There's
don't
not
understand
one.
this. You already
No.
kicked it out to an independent judiciary.
There's not one.
To a judge, right? So if now you're saying, no, we want more games, you could have just penalized him in the first
That's what I'm saying.
place.
There's not one. Again, the rules are so stupid. But again, like I said last week, these are the same people that expect Roger Goodell to give harsh punishments to his bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Who does that?
Yeah.
He's got, you didn't give Stephen Ross enough of punishment. He works for that man. Like, to think about that. What your job right now, whether you're riding the car, you're at home, whatever you're listening, whatever your job, if you're not the CEO or the top of it, just think about if you're an accountant and whoever the manager of your accounting firm gets a DUI, what do you think they're going to send you in there to tell him he's fired? Then just think about how ass backwards that is. In no other society or in no other job does that work, or is that even a thing? But hey, it's the NFL.
I'm just waiting on the day that like we can sit here and talk about the Browns and say something positive. When's the last time like anybody the Browns
They
came
made the
up
playoffs
and
last
said anything positive about the Browns? It's been a while.
Wasn't Kareem Hunt.
You go to Kareem Hunt, you go to this, you go to Baker. Like, it's just always something with the Browns, and it's never anything good. It's never anything good. And if I'm a Browns fan, you know how sick of this I would be. Just this.
I think they're just so used to
every
like waking
day
up.
in the news for something just absolutely awful. And it's got to be so tiring. Can we just win football games? You know, like why? Like the management, the people who run the Browns, I couldn't do it. If I was a fan, look, and I'm an Auburn fan, I could barely do that. But if I was a Browns fan, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, they need Kevin Costner. They need him stat.
All right, a U.S. Circuit Court judge has rejected the bid by 3 live golfers to be able to compete in the FedEx Cup playoffs. So here we go. I mean, this is the first litigation that we've had in this scenario.
Not going to be the last.
No, because the ongoing lawsuit with the 11 players, like this was just a small part of that broader lawsuit.
Again, they're going to go back and forth. The monopoly's dead. Cam Smith's going. Cam Smith's going. You know, they had the hearing yesterday. They're going to go back and forth. Look, these guys aren't backing down. This LIV Tour is not not stop it. And you can have any opinion, you want about, who backs it, blood money and all that stuff. I am not picking a side. I am saying this thing is here to stay. Now, what was interesting from yesterday was them talking about how the payout stuff works. If you basically get the money before and you win a tournament, is that money on top of the stuff you got before? Because remember, at first, Liv said that, no, the winning purse is different than what you get paid to come onto the tour. Now, all of a sudden, it comes out in court that may not be the case. So there was a little more breaking news than just that, but this thing's going to get uglier before it gets better. But at the end of the day, is it better for golf to have two competing leagues like that? Because I just think if you look at it from a capitalistic standpoint, right? Open market, more competition, better for the consumer.
Well, look, I'm always pro free market, even though someone made a good point the other day, which is in many ways, LIV is less a competitor to the PGA Tour and more a competitor to the senior tour. But that was when a lot of the older guys were joining, and now they're getting younger.
Well, remember what we said when this first started, like snatching Sergio Garcia and some of these older guys. I know Phil's obviously a big name in golf. He's on the Mount Rushmore of famous golfers, Jalen Rose.
Hey, nice job.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But there wasn't going to be a problem until you started getting the young guys. And that's what has happened. Bryson Shambo, even Koepka, you could say to some point. Cam Smith, guys like that. So once you start taking the guys, the young stars, the young studs, and more of them start going over, that's when you start eating into the future. And when you start eating into the future, you put somebody in the past. And that's what the PGA Tour is worried about.
This ruling at least makes sense because they were trying to still compete on the tournament.
They want to double dip.
The tournaments that the PGA Tour runs.
Yeah.
PGA Tour like, no, you left voluntarily. Now, what's going to be interesting in the broader antitrust suit is if there is any collusion, like we've been saying, between the PGA Tour and the 4 major championships, or the PGA Tour and the European Tour. That's what a lot of people think is really going on. That could open up antitrust doors.
Conference realignment.
That is what's going on.
It's everywhere. Conference realignment is everywhere.
Last one. The Pirates player had his phone in his pocket. Jay, I need you to hammer this, please, okay?
Okay, I believe we got the clip,
I need you to hammer this, man. We do have this.
I want to run this clip because this is ridiculous. So let's go ahead and run it. It's the Pirates last night. Guys going to slide in the third. Let's go ahead and run it.
You ever played with a phone in your pocket?
No. I mean, we didn't have cell phones back when I played. I don't understand that even a little bit.
It's Rodolfo Castro's apparently playing with his phone. Hey, you take it.
Number one, that is unbelievably embarrassing. And some people, I got no problem really with the bat flips. Now, if it was me, you're paying the price. The next guy's paying the price. I don't have problems with guys getting after. I love when guys get ejected, coaches get ejected. But at some point, it starts disrespecting the game. Like this really was disrespectful to the game. Now, did he mean to do it? Did he remember he had his phone in his pocket? I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know. But this is such a bad look. And you can say, oh, well, you're just a baseball purist and nobody really cares. But as somebody that loves the game of baseball, somebody that respects the game of baseball, somebody that wanted to be in that position in Major League Baseball and would have done anything to get there, this is huge disrespect in the game to me. I think there's no place in the game for it. I believe that Major League Baseball needs to do something about it. I think Rob Manfred needs to suspend him. I think he needs to be suspended because, again, what's next? You're going to hit a triple? And I love the guys that do the little celebration after they hit the double, hitting the chop with the Braves. What's next, though? Selfies? You're going to be pulling out the phone, take a selfie at third base? This is disrespecting the game to me, and there's no place for it.
Love it.
What do you think, Cone?
I have nothing to add. I love it. I'm looking at you for a rebuttal.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. I think it should be fine.
And you think players should be able to take steroids, so that's how.
I want steroids and seventh-inning fights, but get the phones off.
You want fans to care about the games. How about you get the players to care about the games?
Good point.
You shouldn't be on your phone in the dugout.
I agree.
At no point in this 9-inning game should you be on your phone at all. I think you should be suspended. I don't care if you did it on purpose or not. You should be fined. This needs to get cut early before this gets out of the bag. And if I'm one of his teammates, don't talk to me for a while, man, because it really shows how much you care about the team and how we're trying to win games.
Well, don't mess up.
Good for you.
Don't mess
Blaine.
up.
Yeah,
you see the third base coach when he tried to hand him his phone?
He was pissed.
Oh, good for him.
He was pissed because, again, it's disrespecting the game. What does the Boots Club say, man?
Okay, back to this Babe Ruth thing. All right. So Travis Elrod says the fastest pitches in baseball during Babe Ruth's era was 90 miles per hour. Said Babe would not get a hit.
He would not get a hit.
Against Degrom.
Against Degrom? Yes.
Against Degrom. There's some other guys out there he for sure get a hit. But against Degrom, who's probably the best pitcher in Major League. He's thrown it 102, then dropping a 82 miles per hour slider and like a 96 mile per hour sinker. You're not touching that.
Yeah, well, I mean, DeGrom's slider's pumping 95, so best of luck. I mean, back then they were throwing pitches called spitters, flapper girls, dipsy do's, and dipsy don'ts. Like nowadays, they don't have pitches, guys that are out there throwing frisbees at the plate. Like Josh Hader. Can you imagine Josh Hader going and pitching back in the 20s? Like Blaine said, they'd burn him at the stake. They'd be like, "Witch, you're a witch."
Who had the best flapper girl pitch?
I think it was old crazy arms Tommy.
Yeah.
It's back in the day. That's how I used to call him. What else in the booster?
Tempo.
One-eyed Joseph.
He asked this earlier, and I thought it was a good question. I'm pretty sure it was Tempo, but who is our favorite pitcher with the best pitching motion through the entire season?
Of all time?
Of all time?
Let me make sure.
Man, I would say of all time, give me Tim Lincecum from the Giants.
Tim Lincecum?
Yes, Tim Lincecum. There you go for your baseball peers. He used to kick man, you talk about kicking that leg up. Like he used to kick that leg up like he was what is it? What do they call them? Like the girls that do the Rockettes. He was kicking that thing up like a rocket and then absolutely just dropping the ball out of a helicopter over the plate. So give me Tim Lincecum.
I'm going Randy Johnson.
I like
the big
that,
unit.
the big unit.
Just coming at you, man.
The big unit. What else, B?
All right, Kyle Kennedy. Let's go Travis Elrod. Hashtag Ask Crane and Company. Of the three of you, who is the best in the batting cage?
I am.
Me.
Fine. There we go.
No, I'm the best about it. We'll film it.
All right, we got Kyle Kennedy.
Talking about going to the batting cages.
We were. We talked about Babe Ruth faced pitchers who playing baseball with their second job. MLB now has guys whose sole purpose is to pitch in the 8th inning.
That's exactly. It's gotten a little more specialized. Yeah. Guys weren't leaving the pub and going out and playing a doubleheader at Wrigley.
All right, the Worm. Hashtag Ask Crane & Co. Y'all are the absolute best thing to listen to while working out. Love that. Get your pump in, dog. How legitimate are the Saints as a playoff contender?
Bring up the division real quick, Blaine.
Okay.
Let's do that because I'm
Falcons.
Love that Michael Thomas is healthy.
Carolina, right?
Yeah, I am a fan of Jameis Winston. Okay, I'm gonna say it. All right, I believe in Jameis somewhat. Do I think he's elite?
Do what?
Do I think he's absolutely elite? No, but just something about him. There's just something about Jameis where he just can do things. Like it's weird. He's like, one of the wizards that really doesn't know how the wand works, but when he does get it to work, like he's super duper powerful, like a young Harry Potter a little bit. He's got that goofy talent. I don't know another way to describe it.
Yeah, so it's NFC South. You got the Falcons, Panthers, Saints, and Bucks.
I mean, the Bucks. Falcons aren't scaring anybody. The Panthers, we'll see. You got Baker Mayfield. Could get a little interesting. Can McCaffrey stay healthy?
I'm pretty sure they're trying to trade Sam Darnold, too.
I would try and trade Sam Darnold as well. You put Sam Darnold and Jimmy G together, and what do you have? 2 Kirk Cousins.
Double.
One more, and I'm going to go to the board of extreme.
But I was going to say, with the Saints were able to win 1 Super Bowl with the greatness of Drew Brees and Sean Payton and all the offensive weapons and defensive weapons that they had there. I just don't see them being able to get over the hump with this.
Well, again, like I'm not saying win a Super Bowl, but like make the playoff, like be scary a little bit. Yeah, I like Dennis Allen. I think Dennis Allen's a pretty good coach. He's obviously learned under Sean. He's had experience before, so. I think the Saints can be a little bit dangerous. Again, with Michael Thomas, and I like the way that they've drafted and what they have with Alvin and some of the pieces. They're scary on offense. It's going to be interesting to see how the defense does. But look, I'm a huge Cam Jordan guy. Cam Jordan's one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL.
Matthew Bosco, how is it that the Angels got 2 generational players and they're not dominating the league?
We talk about it all the time. Look, I mean, the Angels, and pun intended, not intended here. The Angels is where good players go to die. You think you're going to heaven. Turns out you're just dead. Like you're going to purgatory. You're hanging out in a plane with Billy Mays.
All right, Live for Truth. Hashtag Ask Crane & Co. Should sports betting be a national law?
Yes. Again, what? There's so many things that are legal that are worse than sports betting. Can we just make it a blanket rule? It helps out the states. It's fun. Why can I not legally bet in Florida? It's crazy. But you can go into some states that have casinos. They have slot machines. But you can't bet on sports? It makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean,
they got horse tracks. stuff like that. You can go bet on. That's betting on sports.
I'm fine with each state handling it the way they want to, even though I would prefer uniformity.
No, this is a selfish decision by me.
I know. And it would be good for the show.
I hate to go to one state and be like, all right, hey, I can use my sports book, and then another state have to, follow the white rabbit off the Matrix to find Morpheus, to take the red pill or the blue pill to see if I can bet on a game.
I guess mostly I say that each state should handle it just because I see what's going on at a national level, and I'm like, you know what, the broad executive.
That's exactly right. You don't want to
to
set a precedent, is what you're saying. That's funny. All right, you can read
a couple things here from the Daily Wire chat. BJPS09XU13. I missed the whole show. I was in meetings all day.
Unacceptable.
I missed y'all.
Absolutely
Sam, but you're here now.
Jimbo Eagle says, just got out of the barbershop, decided to go to a fade and clean shave and hope Matt Walsh ain't mad at me.
Well, hey, you've been hanging out with Stetson Bennett?
I love it. You can't go wrong with a fade unless your head's shaped like mine. Nonchalant Anonymous 6664 hashtag Ask Kranica. What is the state of the Patriots offense going to look like going into the season?
Now, look.
Sounds bad.
They're saying Mac Jones is struggling a little bit, Blaine. He's not keeping it what?
You did it?
Did it.
Is it him, though, or Matt Patricia? This guy was the DC.
No, look.
Now he's calling offensive
It all
plays.
goes. Look, and again, which is absolutely hilarious. But I always say you got to know one to know the other. Nobody knows, you
got to be better at one, though, right?
You have to, but you got to know one to know the other. I'm worried about the Patriots. I'm worried about them. I really am. Because if Mac... Look, Mac cerebrally, we know how good he is. I'm not as worried about Mac as I'm worried about what's around him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not going to be able to patchwork this thing like you did with Tom Brady towards the end, where you're like, you know what? Just give me a bunch of good players that want to work hard, that won't look Tom in the eyes for more than 5 seconds, and we'll be good on defense and win a Super Bowl. You struggled in the back end. Mac Jones is apparently struggling a little bit in camp, and you don't exactly have a bunch of unbelievably talented guys on the outside to help him out. And let's not act like Mac's going to win the 100 meters in the Olympics, okay?
Right. Well, I think it goes back to the Patriots. I mean, you can say what you want about their offense, but their defense has always been really good under Bill Belichick. And last year, they were not good, especially in the secondary. So I think they really need to tighten that up to get back to where they at least have a chance to compete deep into a playoffs. I believe in Mac. I mean, who's your best receiver? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'll hang up and listen.
Like, I don't care what third-round kid from, blind and deaf state you took to come be your number one receiver.
They were pretty good last year.
But, I mean, sometimes that's not going to always work, and you're seeing that with the Patriots. I'm not surprised by it.
Well, speaking about competing, what happened to me yesterday in the Phillies Marlins Nerfy, I can only describe with one word, and that is sadness. That's the only word I can describe. I'm sitting there. Game's not on TV, because of course it's not on TV. And so I'm first inning, top of the first, get a little dump, 1, 2, 3, go to the bottom. First guy gets on. I'm like, great, here we go. Go and start the roller coaster. Reese Hoskins hits into a double play. 2 outs, nobody on. You walk Alex Bone, and then somehow he gets to second base, and it said scoring error. I didn't even get to see it live. And then JT Realmuto doubles to the catcher? What did I do? I didn't run over a squirrel. I haven't trash talked any old ladies in the grocery store. Karma, what have I done? I treat people well. I take care of my animals.
Did you go 1-1 yesterday?
I did go 1-1 yesterday, but I should have gone 2-0.
Selfish.
No, I'm not. But I'll tell you this much. I'll 1-1 this thing all the way into football season. And I don't care if it's preseason. I'm betting on that tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. You're not touching it? Well, anybody that bets baseball only, you guys are psychotic. Like, you guys are absolutely psychotic. No, I'm talking about the whole season where they just bet baseball only. Y'all got power to you. Good luck to you. Don't know how you do it. Today, let's just keep this merry-go-round going. How many times can we go 1-1? We did go 6-2 as a group last night. And you and Baby Cone had bets against each other. So you went to the dark side on that one. Give me the Rangers, Astros, Nerfy, -120. Who cares? Twins, Dodgers, Nerfy, -110. Probably won't hit. What are y'all's bets?
I think both those are going to hit.
I don't care.
We walk in here, we're 0-0 every day, right, Blaine? Braves, money line, -145. Astros, minus a run and a half at -140.
Oh, you know who's on the mound for the Astros.
Young winner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Justin, you're out, Verlander.
Yeah, out of there.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of what?
Chubby.
Hard.
All right, hey, 2-0 yesterday. I'll take it. First pitch for the Dodgers game. I said it's going to be high outside. What was it? It was
Great bet, my friend.
So why wouldn't I go back and wade in the waters a little bit?
All right, I'm taking Noah Syndergaard for, I believe it's his first start for the Phillies. Maybe
No, second.
Second.
Maybe second. I'm going to Phillies, Marlins first pitch, ball, first pitch ball, plus 200. I mean, realistic, it's a 50-50 chance.
They
I
could
think
get a
it's
hit.
like 30.
Or get a hit or
They could
something
get a
like that.
hit.
So maybe a 33, 36% chance. And then I'm going back to Nerfies, but I felt today I needed to try to make a unit push.
Why?
I just felt like
you're
I
doubling
needed to.
down?
I needed to. I hit yesterday. The seat's starting to heat up a little bit under me. So I feel like I might get hot.
I like in a good way, not like somebody's catching
No,
up.
I'm not coaching for Nebraska. I'm good. So I'm taking that plus 200, and then I'm taking the Rockies and Cardinals Nerfy plus 140. This over-under is 12.5.
Woo!
Giants.
Woo!
Let's just get out of the first.
Woo!
Double dog day for the boy.
Hey, look, we'll see. I love your enthusiasm. Baby Cone, 9-7, resurrected like a phoenix from the ashes after a 1-6 start. He's taking the Rangers, Astros Nerfy, minus 120 with me, with your boy. And then he's going to take... He's going opposite of you.
Wow. I told him not to do that. I told him not to do that.
Yeah, he's going Phillies, Marlins, first pitch strike.
It's starting to feel personal.
I told him not to do that.
Fool me once.
2 days in a row can't be
You're getting
coincidence.
trash talked by an 11-month-old.
Shame on
he's
me.
Gonna
Fool me twice.
He's going to be the next star in Baby Geniuses 3. Bet on me. All right, so Wildcat Cubs fan, 11-0.
I thought he missed
Wow.
No, I was wrong.
Okay.
I was thinking of the guy.
11-0.
11-0.
Wow.
All right, again, 10-0's Hall of Fame, but we want to see who can go the highest, all right? You know, like Creed said, can you take me higher? He wants the Astros first 5, minus a half at minus 185, playing it safe, keeping it
Nice
steady.
pick.
Tall Riot, 7-0. I tell you what, guys. You know, we'll talk about that in a second. Tall Riot, 7-0. He wants Mitch Haniger to get at least one hit, minus 190.
No, you bring that up, what you're about to say. Now I'm just going to be annoyed.
No, I'm going to say it in a second. Win 2144 is 5-0. He wants the Rays Brewers Nerfy at minus 140. BJPS 09XU13s 4-0. He wants Verlander over 6.5 Ks. How that's under minus 200, I do not
Get
know.
that in the first.
AC, yeah. You said he'll get that in the first. AC, let me get through this.
Sorry.
AC Green 082s 3-0. He wants Sandy Alcantara over 6.5 Ks at plus 125. That's actually
That's a nice pick.
really nice bet. Katie Rose 1191s 3-0. She wants Justin Steele over 4.5 Ks minus 180. It sounds like a superhero's name. Midnight Crane to Georgia's 3-0. Braves Red Sox. Or he wants the Red Sox money line minus 135 over the Braves. Dinkin Flicka is 2-0. Man, that could go in a bad way.
Every time.
Alex De Manar, I hope it's definitely not Manure, but Manar, money line minus 200 right at the cap. Who is Ryan? MCC's 1-0. He wants New Zealand plus 125 against the West Indies.
Let's go.
I don't know. We're playing Battleship
Let's
or
go.
what? Quater 16's 1-0. He's going to take Latvia minus 6.5 over Canada.
I love it.
You love to see it. I think that's junior hockey. I want to say it's junior hockey at minus 102.
Is it really?
But do we need to put, if you're going to hit 10-0, you do, who is it? Kyle Kennedy said that maybe we need to have like a unit, like you must be up 7 units.
No.
That's a lot.
We're doing too much.
We're already
Doing too much
capping
there?
them. We're already capping them,
Should
right?
we lower
We're
the
capping
cap?
odds. We're not capping
Should we lower the cap?
I don't know. Minus 200. I missed a lot of minus 200.
I think we're in a good spot.
All right, okay. I was just
But I'm
throwing
down.
that out there. This
Whatever
is
the
a
consensus
democracy,
of the group.
okay?
Yeah. Whatever.
Like I'm leaving it up to the table, to the Senate.
Was I like outrageously loud when I said that? Or
I don't know. There was a little bit of
safe here.
of
It's a custody. You're
dictatorship
safe.
behind it.
No, man of the
No, I don't
people.
want
You're
it.
safe.
Yeah, I don't want there to be a queue up here. I don't want to walk out and a bunch of soldiers just
You want me to
overtake.
start acting like Tom Cruise and put an eye patch on and start lying to everybody? I'll do it.
Are you talking about from Valkyrie?
Yeah. Have you seen Valkyrie,
Yeah,
Dave?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
All right, our top play from yesterday, top of the 11th. Ronald Acuna should have been out.
Get ready for this.
But you want to talk about a safe space? I'll show you a safe space. Run the clip.
Probably something Braves.
Oh, you know that, man. Come on.
Look at Austin. I always get hit Riley.
Send him.
Here comes
You're out.
He's gone.
I'm going under. That's a slide right there, baby. That's safe. That's safe.
Watch this. Watch it.
You better put all your money in it and lock it. That's safe, baby.
He was
Braves going
gone.
again. What do you?
Blaine, that's a next level slide, man.
Of stopping him.
I mean,
Look at that. Look at that.
That back angle, at what point you have the baseline a little bit?
Out of the baseline.
Out of the
At what point?
Did you see him?
You know how far you
He
got to
was
run to
gunned,
get out of
man.
the baseline?
Too far. I've done it.
I know you've done it, but this isn't Dixie U.
And you were called out.
Whoa. First of all, I'll take a lot of things, but if you start coming at Dixie Youth in here,
First off, I'm not coming at Dixie Youth. I'm saying the umpires weren't exactly up to the standard, and the fields were up to the
you'd
standard.
be surprised.
I played Dixie Youth, and I will always say Dixie Youth, we would have destroyed the
killed
Clemson
Little
League
Leaguers.
World Series.
Oh, we'd kill
It's
them.
a joke.
Oh, we'd kill
It's
them.
a joke. And number one, I would never cry on the mound after I hit somebody at the plate.
I would be too scared of my dad.
Yeah, like
I'm not even
we'll
talking
show
about
that
the
clip
pitcher.
tomorrow. And listen, it's hard to, I know obviously they're 12 years old, but
Don't care.
Dan, youth
Why do they do
baseball
the
changed
majors?
since I was little. What do they do?
Why do that? Hit you in the head? They're not out there hugging each other.
No.
Hey, it's okay. If I would have never, I'd looked at him like,
So you don't like when the kid went over there to the mound?
we're trying to go to Williamsport,
yeah,
wherever
you can
the hell
still
it
do
is.
that.
No.
You can
I'll be
still
your
do
friend.
that.
No friends on the diamond, buddy.
Fair
There's
enough
no
on
friends
that.
on the
Look,
football field.
hey,
After it's
hey.
over, we can hug it out. We can do a TikTok together, whatever you want to do.
If I was the pitcher,
but you just hit me in the head. I don't care if you're crying or not. You should be crying.
If I was a pitcher, I'd have tagged him out. I'd tagged him out. You're off the base.
He was in an emotional state where he wasn't thinking about.
You're
getting
crying. There's
out.
no crying in baseball, man.
Hey,
Life
is the long game. That's the ultimate game. That kid's winning. All right, I have no problem with it. You go over there, you give that guy a hug. All
Why
right?
don't you get off my lawn?
God, are we
maybe go-
sponsored by Charmin?
Maybe
You're
still,
super soft
maybe
right
still
now.
second.
Yeah.
Maybe still
Are we
second.
sponsored by
after that.
Tempur-Pedic? I don't
What
know,
if you just
beanbag chairs?
Then he just ran the
Hold
second.
on, hold
Then
on.
he's a G.
Oh, brother,
This guy stinks.
All right, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you're following us on all social media. Poll, real quick.
Will Clemson make the playoff? Yes or no?
I'm going to say no. 58%.
Is that a stroke?
No, 50. What'd you say?
It was
I
the
said
weirdest
58.
no.
57.
Yes, 47%. No, 53%.
What did you say? I'm so sick of you prices right me,
You
dog.
got prices right, you man. You know.
You over there in your sweaters, prices right me. It just drives me
What do you
up the
think about
wall.
my sweater?
I think it's a good sweater.
Yeah,
I think you come to my house, you get my wife's name right. But we appreciate you guys checking us out. Got a great show tomorrow. Remember, a couple weeks we are going in the morning in drive time, baby. We got another 30 minutes, so it'll be from 6:30 to 8 Central in the morning. Then you'll be able to listen to it all day if you're not able to. Very, very excited. So check us out. And like the chances of Babe Ruth even sniffing a pitch that Jacob Degrom throws, we're gone.